It's 9 o'clock. I've just done BBC Breakfast. Thought I'd got the day wrong because when I looked at the TV guide, BBC Breakfast was showing has not been on and it was Match of the Day, but apparently it was on the BBC News channel. So hopefully I've been talking to someone, not just myself, but they rang me. So I'll see if I can find it online and put it on, what we were talking about anyway.
Now, during lockdown, lots of us have enjoyed getting exercise in the countryside across its network of footpaths. But the wet winter weather has led many farmers to urge walkers not to stray off the muddy tracks because they're then entering their fields and causing damage to their crops. Let's speak to Ollie Harrison, who is on his farm in Merseyside. Ollie, good morning to you. Look, lots of people out walking because it's the exercise that we're allowed to take right now. But as I was touching on there, that causes you a lot of problems.
Well, yeah. I mean, first of all, I don't want to be on here moaning, get off my land. You know, it's nice to see people walking in the countryside and enjoying it. But the problem is, I've just listened to your weather forecast then, and we said, oh, it might be raining, it might be snow and whatever. But there also might be a chance of mud. And that's the thing, these footpaths sometimes through farmers' fields, obviously the fields are made of soil and when it gets wet it turns to mud. And most people seem to be going out with the wrong footwear on. Like if we go walking on a field and we know it's going to be wet, we put boots on or wellies. And everyone seems to go out with the trainers or what they've walked down the pavement with. And then when they're out there in the field then, they're getting the shoes muddy. So they're thinking, oh, well, I'll walk on what's next to it because that's not muddy. But that's our crop, whether that be grass, wheat, barley, oats, anything. And once it's basically trodden in, it won't recover.
Yeah, so I was going to ask, actually, what sort of crops will be in the ground right now? Because many people might think, look, it's winter, there's not a lot growing, it's fine, but there is stuff in the ground.
Yeah, so we just sown winter wheat, we just sown winter barley. So wheat obviously is for making bread, barley, I'll be making gin and beer. Oilseed rape crops, it looks like a weed at this time of year, but it's not, it's just everything's kind of dormant. And then the other thing that we have on our farm as well is we use a no-till approach. So we will basically go into the last year's field residue, so like there'd be a stubble or whatever, and stitch the next crop in. So to look at it, it just looks like a field of stubble, but there'll be little seedlings emerging, but they won't because the shoots get snapped off by people standing on them before they even come up. So that's a bit annoying. Like years ago when you saw a black field and then you see green lines coming through it, you'd know that it was a crop and someone had put it there. But on some farms now with a no-till approach, it's hard to see that.
Yeah, and we're looking at these pictures that give us a real sense of just, how wide these footpaths are getting as people sort of, spread out. There's also implications for wildlife as well, not just the crops.
Yeah, so that's it. So obviously the wildlife's there 365 days a year, not just in a lockdown. And it knows where there's not the smell of people or where people aren't going to disturb it and the birds will be nesting. Because we obviously as well have a lot of overwintered stubbles or like nature patches where we'd have put what we call a cover crop in and the ground nesting birds will be in it. But when people just walk all over, because it's not just the footpaths getting wider, people are just walking all over fields, just thinking there's footpaths or just making them up. Well, them ground nesting birds, it spooks them, especially if someone's got a dog, they won't come back. They'll just disappear somewhere else. And then they'll be further into the wilderness where you'll never see them.
Yeah, and Ollie, I know you said you didn't want to give people rules and tell people to get off your land, but I know you've been doing sort of lockdown learning lessons, haven't you, online, and trying to teach people a bit more about what they should and shouldn't be doing when they're out on land that effectively you need to work. It's your office.
Yeah. Yeah, no, well, I think, you couldn't stand there all day saying, get off, stick to the path, it's just impossible. And, we don't want to be grumpy, we want people enjoying it, but I think it's just an education thing. They just don't realise, they do think it's just grass or it's just this. But even if it's just grass, it's still animal food. So I've been doing a video. It started as a joke with someone I did for BBC Northwest Tonight 301 days ago it was. They wanted to come out and do some filming with me. And because of the whole lockdown thing, they couldn't get too close. So I shot the footage from the inside the tractor cab with my phone. And it was brilliant. It was because the phones have come on a long way now. So the next day, as a bit of a joke, I did another video and I just put it on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and stuff. And then it just kind of carried on. And I'm 301 days in now. So
got a life of its
learning
own.
So much about what goes on a farm.
And I'm just noticing the registration on your tractor there. Potato, is that right?
Right.
I'm having a look with mine.
Yeah. It's It's one of the few that slipped through the DVLA net. I don't think they realised what it was worth. So
it's really good to talk to you, Ollie. Thanks so much, Ollie Harrison, there on the difficulties that all of those walks that we might be doing to get out of the house right now. Bear that in mind if you're out for a walk. Don't stray off the path.
Someone's come looking at Andrew's tractor. So he's just driving it around the yard over there. Andrew's hoping it doesn't break down. Shouldn't do because it's been restored. There's the footpath that's just been on the news, and now we've got motorbikes on the field. Just been round and spoke to the lads on the motorbikes, and to be fair, they were probably the most normal motorbike hooligans I've ever met. They were really apologetic. They didn't realise they'd done anything wrong. They'd been driving around looking for somewhere that didn't look like it had a crop on it, and thought that they weren't doing any damage or any harm to anyone. The whole estate could hear them because the motorbike was so loud, so everyone had been ringing the police reporting it as well. But I just told them, I said, oh, you know, there's something on it. But I did say, if I built you a track for e-bikes, because they're quiet and you wouldn't need planning because they wouldn't make a noise, would they use it? And they said they would. So if you're a hooligan on a motorbike, go and buy yourself an e-bike and I'll build you a track. But it'd be 20 quid an hour or 20 quid for the morning maybe. The new Merlot's bleeping at me saying it's low on water, so I'm just going to top the water up now, and then I'm going to lift that Volvo onto a recovery truck that backed in the office pond the other week. I have to keep our eye on that. It must have a water leak somewhere because it shouldn't have used any water this time of year. It's not like it's been getting hot or anything. So keep an eye on it, see if we can see where it's leaking from. Got to work out the balance point of a Volvo. I'd say it's probably going to be the driver's door. Not a bad guess. This has been here for about 3 weeks now. Was it between Christmas and New Year when they backed in the pond? Someone smashed the window as well, which is a bit annoying because there's all glass all over the floor now. So, answer to yesterday's quiz, only a few people got this right. The tines off a stubble rake. So we use this, we fly over the field. There's a lot on it, I think there's about 76 on it. In fact, hold on, I'll count them. I've counted them as 60, but they're in pairs, so really there's 120 tines. They're 19mm thick, and they fly across the soil and just disturb the top surface, which encourages weed seeds to grow, but without disturbing too much soil, so if it rains it'd wash away. So this is the machine they're off. If you look at this one now, this is a brand new one, up to another one. So I don't know if you can see the wear, but like there's a good foot worn off them. So they're getting ready to replace. Made in Canada. Hopefully I can import some from Canada rather than buy them locally. These are my project I've never finished. These are 2 trailers I bought cheap. They're about 1,200 or 1,500 quid each. The idea was cut the top off and turn into bale trailers. I've still not had time. Maybe we'll get them in the workshop over the winter when that Merlot's gone out and cut the top off and make some bale trailers out of them. Some people thought they were them, which are basically off a tedder. But if you look, they're sort of twice the size in every direction of them. They're for using for shaking the hay out so it dries out quicker in the summer. Got me shades on, make everything look like daylight. Some studs sticking up where we took the grain bin down. Going to cut them off now with this, and then we can put the straw in, and Amanda's going to get the sheep in because it's going to rain for the next 2 weeks. Tip it over into there now. Joe moves the sauce so we don't bury it, or Amanda. Helps having a long Merlot, you can get right to the back. Look, there's a load of broken bales in the shed, so they should look like that, but they've obviously broken. So we just push them to one side, and that's what we use for the sheep in the winter. Quiz time. Does anyone know what that is? This kind of arrangement here. It's off an old machine, but it's never changed in years. So if you know what it is, click like. If you don't, take a guess and put it in the comments underneath. But it's quite a clever bit of kit. It looks dead simple. Got a few cogs and stuff in it. Let's see if you can guess what it is. Look at that fresh bed. Barricades there, stop them going in. I thought I'd film the sheep in case they go west, because sometimes they do and run off up the drive. Or mob Joe and beat him. Look at Amanda running, I've never seen that before. Quick, quick! Textbook, unless we don't shut the gates. Let's shut the gates. Can't see them, it's dark. Oh, you know there was a concrete step there.